Welcome to the Tearing It Up podcast. I'm your host, Taryn. We'll be tearing it up, tearing it down, and tearing it apart, dissecting all things related to those who deviate from the standard. From leaders of their industry to leaders of mediocrity, and maybe a gear review or two thrown in. We shoot the shit and let the conversations flow, so if that's not your style, this may not be for you. Otherwise, listen in. Hope to light a fire in you somehow. Welcome to another week. Another episode, and we actually have a topic today. One topic that we're going to try and stay on, but before we get there, we'll just have a little bit of time here for some catch up on the last week. If there is anything, even, I mean, for me, pretty much same old. I went on a bike ride, actually, though.
Yes, I saw that. Good job.
Yeah, I did that last Saturday, whatever, just a few days ago. And that was really awesome and fun. We got out of Tahoe, which I hadn't been craving it or anything until right before the bike ride. And I was like, oh, I'm so ready to get off the hill. Because all of a sudden, the day before we were going to go bike, I was like, oh, shoot, like, where are we going to go? And so I posted to some Facebook groups that I'm a part of and asked for some trail suggestions. And a lot of people were saying, like, where we were going. There might be a lot of closed trails still because it's also wet down the hill and it had rained. So I was like, oh, no. So I told my friend this and she brought up, like, rescheduling. I'm like, no fucking way. We had to schedule this 2 weeks out. Like, I literally put it in my calendar with a reminder a week before, and then like the day before, I was like, I don't care if we end up riding, the fucking streets of Auburn, California, if I'm outside on my bike. Like, I really have no expectations to this. I just, at this point, I'm committed to leaving Tahoe for the day and getting to some sun and dryness. So we found a trail. It was awesome, and I want to go back down the hill soon. Because it's the middle of April, or it will be by this weekend, and I got to get some riding on under my belt before the sturdy dirty.
They will be here before you know it, dude.
I guess I keep skipping the month of May and going from like April to June. So
Yeah.
I guess I have 3 months, but I keep thinking like, oh my God. I mean, it is going to be here before I know it, but yeah, I mean, it got warm this week. The snow's melting pretty quickly. It feels like, at least around us. So good and bad.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be a mess. But like
The
I said,
transition from winter to spring is always hard, and from summer to fall or fall to winter is also hard too.
Yep, like, so that in between where it's like the snow, parts of it are melting fast, but it's still gonna be a while before like trails are ready to go around here.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not mind it being an excuse to get off the hill to go find dirt. And Reno will be rideable pretty soon, I think, too, which is just 30 minutes, and Auburn is like an hour and a half. But like I said, it's an excuse to kind of get out of town and make me maybe go on a little bit longer rides, because you're driving that far. You're like, well, I'm going to spend a little more time out here. And I haven't explored really at all outside of Tahoe. So yeah, I'm excited to get some of that in. So that was fun this weekend, and then it's just been kind of busy, but yeah. So
I can't even remember what day we recorded last week. Was it Monday?
I don't remember either. It was earlier in the week, I feel like, for sure, because I know it gets a little bit hard towards the end of the week with our schedule. So I think it was some earlier last week or so. Yeah, it's like, what has happened since we talked last?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even have it on like my calendar or anything. But yeah, so are you all set to dive into the topic then?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm so ready.
So we did a poll last week after our episode on Instagram with a few topics, and one of them, there was like work-life balance, stepping out of your comfort zone, burnout, and something else. I think we'll touch on all of those. eventually, but and especially the burnout one did get the most votes, and we're actually going to have a expert come on and talk about that. So that's why we're holding off on that and went to the second choice, which was stepping out of your comfort zone. And I mean, we're no experts on anything, obviously. This isn't necessarily like advice for people, but I think us talking about what is out of our comfort zone and how we step out of it, or just sharing our experience, can help people maybe relate to, and
Mhm.
just decide if they even need to or not.
Yes.
You're not always in that state of life where you need to do that,
Yes.
especially if you're already stressed and things like that, which is why, again, comparing to this to working out. So if you're already stressed in life, doing high intensity workouts every fucking day is not like good for you. It's a stress. Working out is a stressor on the body. So just creating
Mhm.
more stress and more cortisol. So finding other ways like walking and stuff like that, yoga.
Yoga.
Yeah, those slow things are much more helpful when you're already in that state of mind. So, yeah, if you've got a lot of shit going on in your life, you don't need to be worrying about stepping outside of your comfort zone right now. You need to worry about just getting through the day to day.
Totally.
But that doesn't mean you can't what think about these things, and
Yeah.
like kind of have it on the forefront of whenever you're out of the muck and the yuck, that you can start making moves and steps. So um
Amen, sister. That was beautifully put.
so for me, I guess and stepping out of your comfort zone, it looks different for everybody. It means different things for everybody. I mean, I think it's pretty similar for most people, but for me, it's like, yeah, stepping out of your comfort zone. What does that mean? That means doing something that makes me actually think a little bit more. Obviously, it's like makes you uncomfortable, but in like what kind of way does it make me uncomfortable? It depends on what the
Hmm.
situation is. How am I stepping out of my comfort zone? Is it something super simple, easy, like biking? It's like I'm gonna try a harder trail. So for me, that's something with more
Hmm.
of elevation, because I fucking am so terrible at the uphills of anything that I definitely try to choose things where I know I have a not so technical uphill, but I can still have a very good technical and fun like downhill. In
Yeah.
life, that could mean anything from like asking for help or a raise, or or confronting a
Mm.
situation with someone who's maybe close
Oh,
to me.
having hard
um
conversations, that is
yeah.
definitely stepping out of a lot of people's comfort zone. And like you were saying earlier, if you are in that like stressed out fight or flight place,
Oops.
then you don't want to be having those conversations because you're not going to be reacting well to it.
Yeah, exactly. You're not in the emotional state to maybe handle it yourself, to handle the reaction that the other person might have if it's not what you expect, or whatever.
Also
So
knowing the other person's comfort zones, or like if they have the capacity to have the hard conversation, or
very
yeah.
good point. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, this for every situation, there's going to be different like variables to that. Is there anything that you would add to what it means to you for stepping out of your comfort zone?
I think you hit it pretty good, especially with like talking about where you're at in life. Like if you are stressed out, I think it's really great to bring that up because there's a lot of times you don't need to step in your out of your comfort zone. And if you're content and life is going good and whatever you've got is working for you, then do that. Ride
Mm-hmm.
that wave. But like if things don't quite feel right and like you need to get out of your comfort zone to figure out what your right is, then fuck it up, man. But
Yeah,
also like in a very respectable way, because I mean like you could be stepping out of your boundaries and your comfort zone in the wrong way. But I think it's
yeah.
a good way to test your boundaries and be like, oh, this is what works for me. This is what doesn't. This is what I need. This is what I don't need. This is what I
Mm-hmm.
want. This is what I don't want. So yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's an issue we're going to talk about, is even just figuring out what is in your comfort zone and what is not. And that has to do with like, yeah, what knowing what your boundaries are. So you even know, am I in my comfort zone still or am I out? Why do I need to go out? of my
Yeah.
comfort zone. So all of those topics really that we did in the poll, and like, and this being one of them, I feel like they are topics talked about a lot these days on social media, but I also feel like they're kind of pushed down our throats. Like you're constantly being told, like, get out of your comfort zone, change your life. If you want to find, and especially with social media and a lot of folks, and maybe it's just my algorithm, that I see a lot of entrepreneurs and whatnot, and so they left their 9 to 5, started their own business, and their whole mantra is like, I stepped out of my comfort zone and finding this work-life balance, and all this shit again is like shoved down your throat, like to get to point B you have to do this, and it's like that, like I said, that's just not always what you have to do if you're not in that
Yeah.
place of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to step out of your comfort zone, you have to be honest about what your comfort zone truly is, because I think a lot of us can make kind of excuses. And I mean, you might say, oh, actually, that's not out of my comfort zone, really,
Mm-hmm.
because you're kind of afraid to do it or whatever. But be
Yeah.
real with yourself. Like, okay, yeah, it actually is out of my comfort zone, and that's why I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And and like I mentioned, like what's the benefit of you stepping out of your comfort zone? So like evaluating where you're at in life and what part in life this has a play in. So why, for me, again, simple, super super simple, because again it doesn't all have to be fucking crazy life changes.
Yeah.
So for biking, what's the point of me in trying like harder trails and uphills and whatnot? Because I want to get better at these things. I want to get a,
Improve.
yeah, I want to improve my skill level. So to do that, I have to do things that are harder than where I'm at now. Same thing with working out.
Mm-hmm.
If you're only going to lift the same weight all the time and do the exact same exercises, that's all you're going to be able to do. You have to lift heavier weights to be able to lift heavier weights,
Yeah.
like to be able to get there, to build your muscles, to build strength. You learn and read books to build your mental capacity, all these things. So what is your goal and reason for stepping out of that comfort zone, and taking just slow steps to get there? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
always,
Give yourself grace, man.
yeah, it's not always going to be successful the first time, especially if it is
Uh,
something more like, I don't want to say trivial, but again, for, if it's an athletic endeavor or getting it back in shape or something, like it's not going to happen overnight. And knowing that there's going to be failures along the way are what's going to also help you, and that you're obviously going to learn from and figure out, like, oh, why did that go wrong in the first place? Like too much too fast. um and again, when it comes to exercise or something, like, well, did you just not have enough energy that day? Was it bad form? Again, too heavy, too much? Same thing with biking. Like I just, I'm not going to go up the steepest thing right away and think I'm going to make the whole thing without stopping.
yeah.
If it comes
And
to more life changes, you want to quit your job and start something brand new, uh, and you're like applying for different jobs, you're not going to get, maybe anyways, you might not get that first job or first 20 fucking jobs you apply for,
oh gosh.
but you're
Yeah.
taking the steps to get there by even applying. And maybe when you don't get that job, you can learn something from not getting it, even if
Mhm.
that's the fact that you followed up with the hiring manager and asked, hey, why, may I ask why I wasn't chose for the position? It could
Mhm.
be nice, good feedback, or it could be just
Yes.
complete bullshit. But, either way, you learn. If it's
Hmm.
complete
It's
bullshit, you're
all a
like, well,
journey.
fuck that company. I'm not working for them. If it's legitimate, like, oh, we just, you were missing this key piece of whatever skills, you're like, oh cool,
Yeah.
I'll go sign up for a class to do that right now, whatever.
Mhm.
um and like I said, I think it's shoved down our throat to just like take the leap off the cliff out of your comfort zone, and then and just free fall, and you'll find something and everything will be all good and great. But it's like, no, it still takes a lot of steps to you step out of the comfort zone, you got to walk around
Yeah.
too.
Warm up.
Yeah, you're not just
Warm
stepping
up to
out.
the uncomfortability.
Yeah, it's not like
Get used
from
to it.
one zone into the next zone. It's like a, what is that, a Zen diagram?
Oh,
Or
Van
Venn diagram?
diagram?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the two circles like that, that out of your comfort zone's kind of in the
I like
middle there,
Zen
right?
diagram though. I
Yeah,
really am. Can we like
Zen.
embrace that?
Yeah, totally. But you're like in the middle for a while trying to figure it out. And hello, tugboat. And yeah, like it's just I have to remind myself of all these things, which is also why we have these conversations in the first place, is that these are very much topics that are in our minds and brains all at the moment. So for me, I'm trying to step out of my comfort zone again in different ways because I don't feel like I have much
Mhm.
lately. And I haven't challenged myself biking for a couple of years. I've stuck to the same trails I know because I get
Mhm.
nervous
Yep.
of going with
Same.
certain people. Um, I want to be able to keep up. I want to feel comfortable. I I don't have enough time or whatever that I'm not
Didn't fuel
exploring.
properly. I feel
Yep.
like that always gets me too.
Yep, didn't fuel properly, didn't rest, didn't bring enough water or snacks when I show up at the trailhead or whatever. Or in life too, something that may not seem like it's stepping out of a comfort zone, but is asking for help. I don't do that
Hmm.
a lot, and I'm trying to do that more and figure out how I can, because I just don't want to do everything
Yeah, no,
anymore. And
no.
even with
Nor
my,
should we freaking have to, man. We can't.
yeah,
We
totally.
cannot. This is
Like,
why there are like specialties in their fields because we can't. We
yeah,
literally can't. I mean, maybe someone can, maybe someone wants to, but I don't.
yeah. I mean, there's a
I'm
time I
not a
want
DIYer.
to, but
Yes.
it's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
I have found for me, and it certainly is for some people, cool, all the more power to you. Like I've found I need a lot more rest in my life and time to shut off my brain than I once did.
Hmm.
And especially for my own business, like my TKO yoga and fitness business, I have a lot of ideas still and things I want to do, especially when it comes to paddleboard yoga and fitness and like hikes to paddles. I cannot fucking do it all myself. Especially if I was trying to like personal train too, or now, with my full-time job, like I definitely can't do the things I want to do without asking for help. So I've been looking into collaborations with other businesses or people to, one, keep me accountable, and two, take some of the heavy lifting off of my
Literal.
shoulders. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's been hard to do that because I'm always nervous about working with other people and if it's gonna mesh.
Hmm.
Because I know I do like to be in a lot of the control, so figuring out how much I give up and don't give up, like where the boundaries would lie in that, so in turn I just end up not
Hmm.
asking to kind of like collaborate with anybody.
Yeah.
But that also in turn means I'm not making the moves that I want to make.
Yeah.
um
Or to test that out for yourself and the
yeah,
other person, whoever that may be.
yeah, and it's because it takes work and figuring it out, right? So I
Hmm.
have to
And
be able
our
to.
brains want to protect ourselves. So we're
Mhm,
like, no, don't do the thing. So
mhm.
it's all relevant and catchy and it's an ebb and
Yeah,
flow and you were literally testing out the waters too.
totally. And trial and error, I posted recently about like I'm tired of the trial and the error. But if I am trial and erroring some help with people, that's still like taking a little less off of me. And I
Hmm.
think, the people now that I've um wanted to talk to, I have a good relationship with, and I think we're on the same page. I'm like vetting people and companies and things out first. I'm not just like, oh, let me see if they'll do this or that. I'm careful about who I bring into my circles of life. So I feel like, yeah, I just need to be more open about that. And even in my just job, where I'm at now, is being more comfortable just straight up telling my boss, where you're like, hey, I need help with this. Like, I don't know how to do it, or I'm not finding myself creating the time or having the time to do it. And whether that means someone else helps me or he helps me, or I can, reach out to somebody that he's
Yeah.
like, hey, I don't know how to do it either. But if you find someone, like, yeah, ask them.
Yes. And it is
So
hard to approach your boss with things where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's
yeah,
so hard. Like the boss to employee relationship is it's something else, man.
it is. It's intimidating. And I feel like maybe because you don't want to come off like you don't know what you're doing. So suddenly you're like, am I gonna not get that raise when it comes to asking for it because of this one instance? Am I, gonna get responsibilities taken away from me because it doesn't seem like I can handle it? I mean, those things aren't really on the forefront of my mind at the moment or anything, but I know they've passed through my mind at a different time. I'm just at another place. I'm like comfortable with my position and in my job and stuff, and comfortable with my boss to say, like, I do need help with this or that.
It's so
Um,
important.
yeah.
So
But again,
important to
that's
feel that way.
outside of my normal comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I never talked about this. It's been a month now, the last time I went snowmobiling, and it happened to be on International Women's Day. And it was just me and my friend Tess. So it was the first time we'd gone out snowmobiling alone. And we successfully like navigated to this zone that we had been one other time, but we got to it from a different route. And along the way, we found some other zones. We had a lot of fun, like playing around. It was a deep day. It was so much fucking fun. We were so just happy and proud of ourselves. And then on the way out, we were just going to go down this quote unquote road. Like it should be a road. Well, it is a road underneath the snow, but much
Yeah.
harder to see when it's loaded with snow. And I don't think I talked about this on the podcast.
I don't think so.
Okay. So going out this road was the way that we came the very first time. So now we've made a loop and we're feeling comfortable and good. Like, sweet. Like, this will just be a little bit easier to get out because it's the afternoon now. We've been riding. We're getting tired. We're fine right now, but it'll be a quick and short and sweet like way out. So we start heading out. Just I hit a small tiny tree. So stupid. And I think I might have even been able to like reverse and get myself out of it, but we did not attempt that because I was also afraid that it would get me stuck, like dig me into the snow. So we cut the tree down. Again, it was a small-ish tree, but it still took a lot of time. I mean, we carry saws on the snowmobiles for this reason. So we were able to cut it down, and from there I was able to just like pop right out. But like I said, it took a little bit of time. It got a little bit hot, and then we start heading out. And on my snowmobile, I do have a screen, a little GPS. It has the line, like the map from when we made it out the first time. So we're kind of following along that. And we get a little bit off of that trail. And looking at it, we're like, oh, okay, we're just above it. So let's just turn right, cut down, and we should get right back to the road. We do that, but we end up right at a creek. And we're like, okay, well, fuck. Like we're in dense trees and a creek, and there looks to be like a way to get across
Mhm.
it, but it's a high consequence way. Like if we don't do the exact moves the exact right way, like we'll end up in the creek, and that's not going to be good for anybody. Be super hard to get out, even if we were with people of high skill level. And I was just, not into it because with that much pressure on me, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going in the fucking creek. If I know I have to get it on its edge, stay on the edge, do this, do that, like yeah, no, no. So we turn around, go back up, go back out to this opening, and uh get fucking stuck again, just because the snow is deep, and we stopped to kind of like look to see where we were and start to go, and it's just stuck. And it took a fucking while of just digging because it was just deep and stupid and annoying. And now it's like 4 o'clock or something, and So it took us like an hour and a half or something. Right after we finally get me out, Tess got stuck in that same spot, like not in the same exact spot I was, but she was just behind me. So she gets stuck. It doesn't take us as long to get her out, but now we're fucking like tired. And when she was stuck, it's 5:30. Daylight savings time had not happened yet. It was days
Mhm.
away. So we call the boys, see where they're at. Andrew was in Reno because his sled had broke that day. So he's still down there in Reno. And Tessa's boyfriend is at work in town. But I was just like, we were at this point, didn't want to keep trying to get out and get stuck in trees or stuck at a creek. That we're like, just, we need some help. And it was really hard to make that call because here it was, International Women's Day. We were riding really great. We got ourselves out of these other stucks, and now we're at the end of the day, so fucking close to home, and we had to call the boys to come get us.
Mhm.
Um, and it took a while because Ryan did come out to us, but like I said, he was in town working, so it took him a while to get back out to the property, get all his stuff, and then to find us because these screens that we have on the snowmobiles now, they're like little GPS things and you can see each other, but the computers were not connecting. So we were just trying to tell him where we were. We're radioing him. Finally, we got the computer like connected. But by this time it's dark and like we're cold. And
Mhm.
I wasn't like worried because we were really close to home, but we were just ready to fucking go home. So
Yeah, yeah,
Ryan
yeah.
finally finds us, and um we navigate out. Even with him, it took us a little bit of navigating to get out. We got past the creek, but like I said, we were just at the point that we realized if we get stuck one more time, we're going to be like, we're done. We don't have the energy to keep manhandling these like 500-pound machines and digging out. So I just had a feeling like no matter what, like there's no way we're not going to get stuck again because we didn't know exactly where we were. Thus, we were riding more timidly. And when
Mhm.
you're doing that and you don't have momentum in the correct places, then you're going to get stuck.
Yep.
So yeah, it was just, I was so bummed we had to call him, but also like, okay, fuck this. And, you know, why waste any more time and energy?
Yeah. Yeah.
We get out, and even Andrew had ended up jumping on one of Ryan's other snowmobiles and coming out. And when we got back to Ryan and Tessa's house, because that's where we took off, and they're just down the road from us, we all have a beer. And I was like, well, thanks guys for coming out on International Women's Day with us, even though it wasn't planned. Like, it was a great night ride. Um,
Yeah.
so, like I said, that's the thing. By the time we're heading back, we're cold because we've been sitting now for a while, pitch black, and the headlights on snowmobiles are not the best.
Mhm.
And we had all ordered headlamps that go on your helmet, and they just were back ordered and never came. I was like, wow, this
Um,
is why I truly want one just at all times, always, because you never know
you never
when
know.
things are going to go wrong out there. Because anything could happen where you get stuck or something breaks and you end
Mhm.
up getting stuck out there after dark. I had all these plans in my mind of like, well, we're not too deep into the woods and search and rescue could easily come and get us, but how
Yeah.
embarrassing if we had to do that. I
Yeah.
was just so happy that the boys are around, knew exactly just knew the area where we
Mhm.
were. And like I said, was not at all afraid we were gonna like be stuck out there all night with no food or water or anything and not be able to stay warm, because that was the one of the first things Ryan said once he got on his sled and he's out there. He's like, well, are you guys warm? Like, we're like, yeah, we're all right. And he's like, yeah, well, just remember you got gas in your
Yep.
sleds and there's trees all around. So if you need to start a fire,
Yeah.
like,
That's always a good reminder because sometimes, but also with like you guys pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and like doing the things you fail, and
yeah.
that's also what like your brain is protecting yourself from. But it's also very humbling to
Mm-hmm.
be like, okay, this, and it's also really hard to when you get yourself in situations like that to not get down on yourself and
Mm-hmm.
to be like super disappointed or the feelings that come along with like getting yourself in situations like that and being like, I shouldn't be here, I'm a failure, the imposter syndrome that comes in. But it's good to fail because that's how you know you're trying. That's how you know it's part of the process. It's so very much part of the process.
Absolutely. And one of my biggest things with anything, hiking, biking, whatever trails I'm not familiar with, is the navigation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why even again with like mountain biking, I don't often choose to do trails I don't know unless I'm with somebody that knows them, because of the way I know my riding style is. When I'm not comfortable, I stop a lot to figure out where I am.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Get your bearings.
yeah, and so I just ride much more timidly and don't have that much fun. But if I'm remembering, at least for the first time, like, okay, this is just the first time, this is like an exploratory mission. uh
Mm-hmm.
and I told Andrew even out here, he was like, you can't get lost out here. I was like, oh, I can.
Yes.
So Tess and I were joking, like, oh my God, they're never gonna let us go out by ourselves again. I was like, well, at least not after like noon, because if we
Yeah.
would have went out at 9, by the time they got to us, it would have been light out still, or
Yeah.
we would have maybe felt more comfortable in getting ourselves to the road that we thought we were very, very, very close to. But again, like I said, we were out of our I will say I was out of my comfort zone in the first place by us going out there by
Yeah.
ourselves, because I know navigation is my weakness. But I did it, and first time riding without Andrew or Ryan, where if I get stuck, like it's just up to me and Tess to figure out technique on how to get out and pull this machine out, dig this out or that, and figure it the fuck out. So I was so proud of us for all of the things. And like you said, it
Yeah.
was hard to not feel like we failed, especially being International Women's Day that day and being all proud of ourselves. And then like, oh, well, except we couldn't get home.
Yeah.
Like,
But I think you guys made the right call for yourself at that
mhm.
time. And
Yep. Yeah, before it got any worse, like I said, one more big stuck, like, because we were definitely getting frustrated trying to figure out where we were gonna like meet Ryan. Like, okay, well, let's head over here, and our riding had significantly like gone downhill. You could tell that we were both tired. That it's like, okay, we got to the point after doing a couple like circles, like maybe we'll try up here one more time, see if we can get to a better clearing for him. And then it was like, yeah, no, we need to stop and not move.
yeah.
Like we just have to stay right here and fucking wait in this wide open clearing where he'll be able to see us,
Mm-hmm.
no problem. But yeah, so then I was super excited to be able to go out again. My goal was like, okay, now I want to go exactly to that zone again via the route that we tried to get home, so I know that route and
Yeah.
feel comfortable. But unfortunately, I haven't been out again because, like I said, Andrew took his sled to the shop that day, and it's been there ever fucking since. So that's annoying.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so example of getting out of my comfort zone, failing,
Yeah.
but not being afraid to do it again. And I think that did lead into honestly my biking this last Saturday, that I I went on a trail that I knew nothing about, my friend knew nothing about, and we were like, well, we're just going to try. If we don't, again, we don't have an expectation of how it should look. We just
Mm-hmm.
want to be out there enjoying it, and we're not putting ourselves like in
Yeah.
danger or anything. So,
But also, and you brought up a good point about how you ride totally differently when you don't know where you are or when you're focusing on navigating. And it's so nice to have someone who knows the trail so you can just be like, it's just something else to take off of your mental load,
it is,
just to
but
not think about.
then I don't always pay enough attention when I'm just following someone.
Yeah.
So I still don't feel comfortable, unless I do it 500 times following the person. So
Yeah.
it really does make me learn more to do it on my own in the first place. But yeah, it just takes more time to figure it out that way. A lot more time and comfortable.
I didn't even think of that until you said it. And I was like, oh my God, I totally know that feeling. It's shite. It's shit, especially
Yeah.
when you like want to get after it.
Yeah. And so as far as the more kind of non-serious things in life, it comes to those like athletic endeavors. And it said for me, at like just trying to ask for some help and figure out how I can, make things in my business work by asking others for help.
Yeah.
And one
And a
little
lot of
step at a
people
time.
like in your intimate circle or maybe even not, like people want to be felt needed or like that they're skills are useful, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely. So how about you? Any ways lately that you have stepped
Oh,
out of your comfort zone or are like it's on the horizon that
I feel
ways
like
you
I've
think you
been out of
need to?
my comfort zone. So like you know how you brought up earlier people being like, I quit my 9 to 5 and started this thing. Right now in my life, I feel like I need the 9 to 5. Like I
Mm-hmm.
need the consistency. I'm in the place in my life where I need it because I've got a kid in school. And so we're on that Monday through Friday 9 to 5 grind. And I'm okay with that. And I actually would love that and need that in my life. And so for some people, it might be walking away from that, which, right, it just goes to show that we're all on our own different independent journeys. And one thing that I might do to step out of my comfort zone is I think I might do the bank slalom at Crystal. Casey sent it to me and was
Fun.
like, "Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it?" And I'm like, "Cause just like I don't know, I just don't like being judged. I
Yep.
don't like competing. I don't like. I'm not competitive. I don't like competing against other people. But and I don't know why I'm so opposed to it. Like I feel like I'm extra opposed to it because of the people who are like very competitive. I'm
Yeah.
that very, I got you got a yin and the yang or something. I don't fucking know,
I
but
100% know
you know
what
what
you
I'm
mean
talking
because I
about?
think we've talked about this before and it, same with the like the bike race. I'm
Yeah.
very fucking competitive, but in the things that I know I'm good at, I did a bank slalom not to scare you or anything because it was a lot of fun, but it sucked because I fell because of the
Mhm.
pressure.
Yeah.
But it was still a lot of fun. It was a fundraiser situation. Um, but it was hard again for me just because I am so competitive in my own self. I had no way. I did not think I was gonna win whatsoever, but I was just like, oh man, like I felt like at that, point. But
Yep.
it also was after sitting all day, drinking some beers, shit like that, completely non-serious, which is how the crystal one is. And
Yeah.
I think you should 100% do it because you are going to be there with a group of friends. It's just
Yeah.
for
We'll
fucking
have a
fun.
crew.
And it's an experience. And that's exactly why I'm doing the Sturdy Dirty.
Hmm.
Chose the most like non competitive route just to feel like, hey, I fucking did it.
Yeah.
And because it's out of my comfort zone, I
Yes.
can go play a team sport competitively, but these sports that I started later in life that were just my like for fun sports, I had a hard time trying to like mixing the competitive side with them because I
Yeah.
didn't want it to become unfun.
Hmm.
But I'm just like, this is for some reason for me doing this bike race is like something I feel like I have to fucking do, but it's nowhere in my comfort zone of
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
And
Oh
so
my
I
gosh. And look at how we're gonna grow from it.
Yes. So I think you should totally do it. Cause like, okay, yeah, these are not super serious, life-changing fucking things, but it
No, but it
can be,
matters.
yeah, because for
Yes, it
your own
matters.
like thoughts and minds, and it could be the littlest thing. Like I said, it's part of the baby steps. If you do this little fucking thing, it gives you just enough courage to be like, hey, I fucking did that. So why can't
Yeah.
I do this? It can
Hmm.
absolutely lead to bigger things and epiphanies,
That's
and it
it.
could absolutely not. It could just
That
be dead end, and you're like,
yeah.
cool, what the fuck ever. But
Yeah.
we just have to make ourselves uncomfortable sometimes because no matter what, like that is what produces change. You're uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
Again, simple to working out. You're uncomfortable, you're sore. That's because your muscles have broken down and now they're
Hmm.
repairing and they're repairing stronger. You
Yep.
break yourself down, stepping out of your comfort zone, and you repair yourself. You come out stronger from being uncomfortable.
Yes. Very
So
true.
I think you should do the bank slalom.
Oh
But
my
anyway,
God, I'm so nervous.
I think sign up whatever, go that day, and have some
Okay.
feels. If you're like,
Yeah.
like, okay, really, 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 really don't want to, feeling like, the bad nerves. But if you're,
Yeah.
feel those feelings out. And if
Yes,
it's like,
I
yeah, I'm
will.
nervous, but like, and like I said, who cares? You fall on the first
Hmm.
corner, then just get out of the course, and you're like, whoops, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Redo. Yeah, so that'll be interesting because
Yeah.
it's so out of my comfort zone. I even would like choke up at bat, like in high school
Oh
baseball.
yeah,
I
we
was
talked
the
about that. Yeah.
fucking worst, man.
Yeah.
The worst. I don't know what it is with the pressure.
Well,
Under pressure.
everybody handles it differently. So
Totally.
It just,
And you can learn and grow and change and be different the next time when you're in weird, uncomfortable things
and
out of
when
your
you
comfort
know
zone.
that that's something that affects you, I mean, just working on getting in your zone, like
Mm-hmm.
closing out everything that's going around and just imagining like, oh, I'm just on this run all by myself and I'm
Yeah.
just cruising. No one's watching me. Like,
Yeah.
um, but obviously that's, another kind of superpower that I don't feel that I have is really shutting out the outside world.
But also, like, it takes practice too,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
it's also a practice with self,
Yeah.
because what we're concerned about is what other people are thinking of
Mm-hmm.
us. And
Mm-hmm.
I like to think we're confident enough humans that we could be like, fuck the rest, I'm just me and my skin sack, and you can go.
Absolutely.
My skin sack.
Yeah. Meat sack and skin sack. I love those things.
Oh, God.
Well, that's awesome. What, anything else that's up your alley lately?
Like I said, I feel like my life has been so out of my comfort zone that I'm kind of in that fight or flight place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I've been applying to jobs to give me the consistent 9 to 5. And I recently started looking at Department of Ecology jobs, which there's a lot of water jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like calling those jobs back or calling the people back and being like, what is it? What could I work on? That's out of my comfort zone. That's having
Yeah.
those like uncomfortable conversations of like solidifying that I need more schooling. I
Mm-hmm.
need to be more, it's not easy learning like things that you need to work on and then actually working on them. Like that's why
Mm-hmm.
therapists make so much money, is because people are always just like, nay, 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 I'm bad at this, and this. And they're like, well, you should do this. And then you're like, yeah, okay. And then
Mm-hmm.
never do the this.
Absolutely. You
Because
bring
it's
up a good point though about just hearing what you're not good at can be hard, and cold calling kind of anybody. First of all,
mm-hmm.
being confident in yourself enough to be ready to hear
Yeah,
like negative feedback and not
totally,
take it, personally, be able to learn from it. And again, we're not always in those zones. So,
totally.
as we talked about, just a lot of people getting out of their comfort zone is leaving their 9 to 5. You're
Mm-hmm.
in a 9 to 5 and it's working for you. Same with me. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
not technically, Monday through Friday 9 to 5. I have a little
Yeah,
more like flexibility with that, but it's a full-time job.
yes.
These things are out of our comfort zones already. So we are kind of the opposite. And I think a lot of people who listen probably are, because there are a lot of our friends who have similar kind of lifestyles, whether it's working in like a food service industry or outdoor industry or whatever it is. We have always gone against the grain.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just living our lives, quote unquote, normally is out of our fucking comfort zone.
Yeah, yeah, that
Having
is
a
for sure.
stable schedule and paycheck is great, but out of our comfort
Yeah,
zone.
not what I'm used to. That's for
Yeah.
sure. But
So it's
like, I
it's good and
want,
yeah, totally
want
good
it, and
and
I can do
bad.
it now.
Yeah, so when we had Charlotte Lilly of the ski retreat on,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of talked about how her and we kind of went opposite. Like she was transitioning or trying to out of her full time into her like passion project. I was doing the things that I was starting and like, tried to start my own or started my own business. And then I converted to working for someone else full time because I
Mm-hmm.
was at that point in my life of needing that security and paycheck, and just wanting to think less and kind of have the point of like, yeah, show up at this time at this
Yeah.
place instead of figuring it all out myself. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think, like, to an extent, you are already not in your comfort zone, having this more rigid schedule
Yeah.
than you're used to,
Mm-hmm.
and doing something that you don't have the biggest passion
Not even a
about.
little.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
again,
hate
it
it.
looks different for fucking everybody, which is why we
Yeah.
have to remember that it's not just always jumping off a cliff whenever like
No,
you're in it. You're
no.
you're
Sitting
fucking
at a
not in
desk
a
is out
comfort
of my
zone.
comfort zone, man.
I've gotten less than 1,000 fucking steps today because I I had an intense like workout day yesterday, so I already allowed myself. I knew like, you know what? I'm not waking up early and going to the gym. I'm gonna get sleep, and then it was gonna be my zone 2 training day anyways. Um, but when I got up, I just realized like I don't want to drive to town because I honestly don't think I can afford it right now until my paycheck goes through to drive back and
Yeah.
forth to town. I got to go to town
Good.
tomorrow for work. So I'm not
Yep.
going to drive to town today just to go walk on the treadmill. And I thought maybe I would do something this afternoon, but I don't like the weather outside and I've been
Yes.
working. But
So
I'm,
and with those things, it's okay to stay in your comfort zone, you know?
yeah, yeah. But again, it's out of my comfort zone to not
Yeah,
move, to
true. Yeah.
to be just sitting all day and it's a guilt thing too of like, oh, I should have done something earlier. I should have just got up and did it. I should have got up and like skied or went for a walk if I wasn't going to go to the gym, but I wanted to like stretch, do yoga, whatever, and start concentrating on work. So like I said, your comfort zone is your comfort zone only. No one can fucking tell you that you're in it or not and what to do and how to do it. Like I said, everything just gets pressed down our throats and this is what you should do. And if you need to see a change in life, like I said, it's just throw caution to the wind and give no fucks.
Yeah.
But that's just not always reasonable.
Mm-mm.
No matter how much we want to do that, sometimes you just can't always do it.
Mhm.
So like just if you feel like you need to step out of your comfort zone, number one is like realizing what your comfort zone is, like I mentioned in the beginning, because these are things just coming to me of realizing, yeah, actually just us having the jobs we have right now is out of our comfort
Yeah, I
zone.
didn't think of that until you mentioned it. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
dang.
so that in itself can completely realign what it is, what the next step is. What do you need to do? And now you've realized, like, actually, I don't need to do anything else right now, except maybe something that's a little more on the fun side outside of
Yeah,
my
and
comfort
for
zone of
like
doing that bank
very personal.
slalom.
Yeah, it's not for my career. It's not
Yeah,
for this. It's for my me.
yeah, exactly. And there's all of those things. It doesn't always
Yeah,
have to
and
be
it's
a super serious like, oop, I mean it could be fucking going to a bar or restaurant by
by
yourself.
yourself. Yes, which I can't believe that that's out of people's comfort
I
zones. For me,
know.
I'm like,
I
please, I would
love it.
love
I love
my
it, especially in
favorite.
a different city or something.
Yeah,
Like,
but that totally is out of people's comfort zone. It
yeah.
so is.
And I don't want to necessarily go and have small talk at the bar if I go alone in
Yes,
a different city
yes,
or anything. But when I
yes.
was in Sacramento for the boxing and barbells training, I immediately like threw my stuff in the room and went to the hotel bar. So like,
Yep,
fuck yeah, let's go see
bellied
what's
up.
going on,
You're like,
man.
I'm getting
Yeah.
an appetizer, I'm
Yep.
getting a full meal and fucking dessert and
And
a
I did
drink.
it. I did
Yes.
all of that.
Ah,
And I was just like, I was actually, I don't normally do this, but I was like talking to the person next to me, like, oh, yeah, where are you from? Like, just so happy to have been out of town, staying in this like kind of nice hotel because I used some credit card points and yeah, but like I said, around town, it's not as fun or difficult for me to go by myself because
yes.
I'm gonna know someone probably there, but I still have no problem doing it. If I feel like I really want a drink or a snack or whatever, like I go do that. But yeah, like you said, it's amazing how many people don't. And that's something like seemingly, it might not be little for you, but that you could do. You need to get out one day,
Yeah.
you're lonely, you work from home, you haven't hung out with your friends or you don't have a partner, whatever the fuck it is. Like just try, maybe go
Yeah.
in because maybe
Just
you will
try it.
run into somebody and I'll be like, oh, hey, so and so, like, yeah, what are you doing? You want to come sit with us and or
Yeah.
whatever, what the fuck
Or you'll
ever.
sit there the whole time by yourself and discover something about yourself,
Yep, yeah,
which what a beautiful thing. Or like
absolutely.
if you walk your dog a certain way every day, try crossing the street.
Yeah,
Walk the other way. Go backwards. Don't go clockwise. Like go
yeah,
counterclockwise. It's just the
exactly.
tiniest little thing. So I hope that for people who are listening, this encourages you to step out of your comfort zone, whatever that may look like. If it's getting a 9 to 5 like Darren and I, sweet on you. If it's quitting
Yep.
your 9 to 5, sweet. If it's going to a restaurant by yourself, then fuck it up, man. I
Yeah,
know
starting
Tacoma.
something new. Like I never skied in my life,
Yeah.
and I cross country skied like a couple times, and now it's something I love doing. So yeah, starting something completely new. Go learn how to knit. Go to a writing class, a fucking drawing class, whatever.
Or do that DIY home project that you've been putting off for months and years because of that one thing that you're afraid of.
Yeah, you're a bad cook. Try a fucking new recipe. I mean, I don't know.
Use the box. Who cares?
Yeah, it could literally be anything. And except for those who voted for us talking about stepping out of your comfort zone, we didn't get anyone and like specific questions, but like Amber said, hopefully it just gives you a little bit of a pep in your step to realize it doesn't have to be something completely major and 180-degree turn in life or anything. It could be the tiniest fucking thing. And you start small and you just go from there, because then your comfort zone inevitably grows. Thus, you have to kind of keep pushing towards those edges and discovering what is outside of it.
Yes. Whole freaking galaxy, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of all I really have for it. Yeah, and like I said, I just hope that for those of you who wanted to hear about it, there's a little nugget of inspiration. That's all we aim to do. And like I said, just relating with the fact of me and Amber try things, we step out of our comfort zone and we fail a lot at it and feel dumb and stupid and have our own like self doubts and negative talk about it. But I think
18-year-old me would be proud of me. That's
what I'm saying. Like after time, it takes time, but after some time, I'm able to look back on a lot of these things and find the good or the silver lining or the lesson in them.
Or non-lesson.
Yeah, like that was just a waste of fucking time. Yeah. It happens. Yes. That happens too. Not everything is a fucking epiphany, which is why I want to start like my own kind of retreats too, because they're not all with the goal of life-changing and green juice and shit. It's just to go have fun sometimes. Like I just want to go have fun,
existing, being a person with other people.
Totally. And I don't have a group of friends that it's easy to go like, hey, let's all take this week and go to this country and fucking bike, surf, yoga, whatever. So yeah. Anyway, so hopefully, let's see, our burnout expert will be on hopefully in the next couple of weeks. We still have to schedule it, potentially next week, maybe the week after, we'll see. But I think we'll keep putting up polls and stuff like that, asking questions just to get some feedback from the listeners. You can always message us on Instagram.
Tell us what your comfort zone is. I want to know what people's comfort zones are. Yeah, I feel like ours is kind of similar, which is funny. I didn't even friggin' think of that.
I know, right? And that could be it too. This could have simply made someone think about, oh, actually I am living outside of my comfort zone right now. I don't need to do anything else. I can stop listening to the noise out there telling me to step out of my comfort zone because I ain't fucking in it. Yeah. So that's a very real realization. So yeah, I'd love to hear too what people's comfort zones is and how they're outside of it right now. And we'll continue to talk about the subjects that we had listed, some work-life balance, which is really how we feel about it, if it really exists, what you think it is out there. Burnout, can't wait to talk about that. And we've got a few other things on the list too. So with that, there's a little Quincy B who will help us sign out.
Hi.
Say hi and bye, Quincy.
He's trying to force me to go to the dinner table right now.
Well, luckily for you will be able to in like 5, 4, 3, 2. Goodbye, world. Bye. We hope you enjoyed this episode and would do us a huge favor, since we don't have any sponsors or anything like that, and would rate and review us on whatever platform it is you use, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, whatever it is. And if you're listening and downloading just through the website, tearingituppodcast.com, leave comments. We'll definitely engage back with you. And on social media right now, we're just on Instagram. Tearing It Up Podcast is the handle. like the post, share the post, comment on the post, whatever it is you got. Show us your love so we just stay relevant and show up in the rankings at all. So again, rate and review, please, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.